How's it going, everyone? Real quick before we start the video, I'm excited to announce that I've teamed up with the Broken by Concert Boys, and I'm going to be running coaching classes 5 days a week in the Top Lane Academy. They've really built such a great community of passionate students trying their best to improve, so if you're keen to improve alongside them and be coached by me personally, the link will be in the description. I'd love to see you there, and I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome back, team. How's it going? Today we're going to be breaking down the macros surrounding how to play for Atakhan in solo queue. Now, this objective is extremely powerful at the moment, so it's really important you know the best way to maximize your pressure and secure it for your team. So I have a bunch of different examples prepared for today, so we're going to be going through them one by one and really breaking it down in detail, the best way to secure this objective for your team. So if that sounds good to you, then let's get started. Now, for our first example, I'm playing Camilla in this game, Atakhan spawning in around 30, and it is a pretty close one. The game can go either way at this point. We do have a little bit of a lead, but we definitely have to play it well. The reason I'm bottom, by the way, even though you do want to be on the opposite side of Atakhan if you can, is just because we had a dragon fight about 45 1 minute ago, so I was already on this side naturally, decided to take the tower and get an extra bit of income, which Camille really likes. Now, you'll see surely Atakhan does do a bit of a beating to us. It's nowhere near Baron level, but it's definitely not an objective you can just take in front of them, and our Nami gets caught out here, so I joined the fight. The reason I'm focusing Viego here is he's the most important champion on the enemy team. If Viego gets a reset, not the most broken champ the whole game. If he doesn't, you do have a chance. But we're not able to secure Atakhan off that pick. We use everything, Camille, Galio ulti, everything, and it's just really beating us up now, so we just couldn't do it. So everyone backed out here, and I based as well. So this is where the macro comes into play. For this example, Atakhan is spawning, or is already up now, and a lot of people struggle in this type of situation. Should I group up on the objective straight away? Should I go to side? And it really does depend on the situation, which is why I have a lot of examples prepared for today. But on this one specifically, the reason I'm not going to Atakhan right now, there are two main reasons behind it. One, I've got TP, so I can go top. But the main one, the most important one, is me and Galio, the two main characters on our team, the most important, don't have our ultis. So even if I group up right now, I don't really want a fight to happen. It's better for me to go top and create pressure and try to create a 5v4 numbers advantage around Atakhan, and then look to TP and when my ulti is actually up and somebody responds to me top. If we grouped up right now with no Nami, Galio, or Camille ulti, the chance we win the fight is pretty low. So it's important for me. You can see the enemy team spiked as well, 2 out of mid, 2 out of jungle. So it's really important for me to know this is a bad fight and go top to create pressure and try to pull people away from it. Now, if a fight did happen, I would most likely TP to it, unless it looked horrible. Then I'd stay for the tier 2. It really depends on the situation. But I know a fight's not going to be winning if we don't have our key abilities. And even though I do ping them to back, it is a solo queue. Your team's going to get caught out, so we do lose the Nami there. But it's perfectly fine. As long as a huge 5v5 doesn't happen, I don't mind. And here I decide to just kill the tower, commit to it, and drop a lot of backpings. You can see I dropped 3 backpings mid and an assist ping on top. It's really important that you don't just tell your team, don't do this, don't do this. They're a little bit like kids at times. They don't want to listen. But if you tell them, don't do this, I'm doing this instead, I found the success rate is higher. So I told them I'm going to break the tower and just to give up mid, and they did listen in that moment. Now, this is where it gets important. So I had a really good feeling that Viego was going to answer me top here, even though I literally didn't see him. The reason I felt that is because I just broke tier 2, I'm creating a lot of pressure, and all of his top camps are up. So I had a really good suspicion that he was going to be top him. So I decided to use my numbers advantage that I created, pulling Viego top, and TP bottom to make a pick on this Ambessa. And you'll see very shortly, Viego actually does show on the top wave. So it was a little bit of a risk. There was risk involved. Their whole team could have been here technically. But I felt like after they made the pick mid, and I was pressuring tier 2, they're definitely going to send somebody to stop me. So I create their numbers advantage. I pulled them away. I created a TP play and a team fight. Well, not a team fight, but I created a situation where we could fight at a time that's really good for our team when me and Gallo did have our ulti and were able to secure this Atakhan. Moving on to our next example. In this game, I'm playing Olaf up against Zika, which is why I'm a little bit behind, world champion gap, and I didn't really have time to create bot pressure away from Atakhan like I did in the Camille game. So if I went to go bottom right now and push the wave all the way out, even though I have TP, the chance that a fight happens, especially my Renekton had the base as well, a 3v5 team fight happens before I get there was too risky. It's not worth the risk of me going bottom and even getting the tier 1. If my team has a fight and dies without me, it's better for me to TP in here straight away and be ready for that Atakhan fight. So we can see here, I'm going straight to top, waiting for my team to get in position. I don't want to fight right this second, I don't have ulti up, but TPing for tempo here is better, so I can make the wave come in and make somebody respond and show under that tier 1, and then we can play for this fight. So you can see, really playing for the positioning. I'm too weak to be solo flanking here, so I'm looking to try to get my team more involved. I'm respecting here on this time, but my team is down in tempo a little bit, and you don't really need to track tempo perfectly. You just need to see literally where your teammates are and play in accordance to that. But now they're coming in, they're finally ready to contest river, so I'm going in. Good cocoon by at least I didn't want to burn my ulti up, but playing it slow. So here we can see Zeke got away quite well on Mbessa, and everyone is grouped up ready for the Atakhan. So I would say this season makes it a bit easier for your decision. Do you have time to create pressure, or do you have time to group? If you're ever unsure, you should prioritize the grouping. So you can see here, I'm here early, I TP'd in, made the top pressure, taking over this bush as well. So once you do understand when to be here early, you can try to create really creative positioning. Because if I was bottom right now, they would have full control. But now, because I was there early, my character was there, I was able to help my teammates push the enemy out and get full vision. Now I'm in a nice flank position. I did end up missing my axe, which was pretty brutal. They just stepped back from the Renekton ulti, but you can see my positioning is so good. I'm starting out this fight already on their backline. So using my flash here to keep the ulti up, and we're able to win this fight. So you can see the difference between this game and the previous one is, even though we didn't have the forcing tools that we did in the previous one that I was waiting for, I knew I didn't have time to create bot pressure in this game and get the wave all the way to tier 1, compared to the one against Camille, where even if I did group up and we fought, it would have been a losing fight. In this game here, my ulti was only about 15 seconds away. So I knew if I did group up by the time I got the wave out, it'd be ready, and there wouldn't be a situation where my team could get caught out as a 3v4 or 3v5 and us lose this major objective that gives GA to our entire team. So now heading back onto the map straight away, going right back to Atakhan, ready to fight. I'm not trying to farm camps or push in bottom, anything like that. It's really important that you're not the reason. Your team has to take a 4v5 around this. But you can see I'm not just going here by myself and that's it, hoping my team knows what to do. I'm dropping really strong pings on Atakhan, trying to get everyone involved. Especially in low elo brackets, it's going to be very important to let your intention be known and drop really strong pings on this objective. So we can see it does beat you up a little bit, so you do have to be careful. We disengage it here, but not too bad for me. I do have Ravenous Hydra, can just heal off the wave. Now, we wanted to make them come in and fight us. It's a little bit different to Baron, as there's no bushes, it's a lot of open space, so it's hard to kind of make them come in and cheese them, despite, or compared to what I did before, as you're playing on the top side up here, as the river is just straight nothing, the bush gets removed, it's just straight river, so it's a lot harder than Baron when you have all these bushes to choose from down there. However, we're trying to make them respond to us. So we use Herald Tom, we make them come in, make them lose their positioning in the river. And a mistake actually did happen here. I followed up Zyra getting caught out. I do regret that, so it was a mistake by me. But you can see my intention, despite what happens, is going to be exactly the same. So Zyra gets caught out, completely trolling, doesn't use Zhonya's or anything. And I come and trying to follow her up, which was a mistake. I should have played a bit slower. I don't have any Amant, can't deal with Akali at the moment. Now, even though I died, the fight goes kind of even. I think everyone dies except like one person. And now, again, you can probably guess what I'm going to do. The second I respawn, straight onto the map. This is where it gets tricky, and this is where a lot of players struggle. My Misfortune wanted to do Dragon. My Nautilus wanted to do Dragon. Even though I'm not playing even that well in this game, I got smoked in lane. It doesn't matter. I know we can't just go Dragon. They'll get full control of Atakhan. They'll probably get it. So I'm using all my pings. I'm running straight there. I'm making a situation where we're playing for this. You can see my jungle support AD. They wanted to do Dragon, but I was the guy that made us force Atakhan here. And no, that's not going to be possible every game, every time. But if you do it consistently, it's going to work more often than not. If you drop strong pings, if you move your character there, you get your team involved. You can see I prevented a situation where we gave the 5 Guardian Angel Atakhan for a second Ocean Dragon or something trash. So I'm here early, getting control. You can see I'm sweeping my way in, pushing in the wave, trying to make a Kali answer, and really trying to create this Atakhan fight. So we can see him. I'm in a nice flank position. I've got my 2 item spike here, but they chased me away again because they're here first. They didn't mess around at Dragon, but so I decided to group up with my team instead. It's pretty hard to flank if you have completely zero control. So instead I grouped up here. I'm still going to be looking to get onto a flank angle. So you can see here, I don't want to front to back on Olaf, looking to get this position. Pink ward here, give myself a high chance to win the fight. I was really scared they started to do Atakhan here. So you can walk, you can see how much my focus is in this game. All I care about is making sure we play for this objective and getting my team involved. So Nocturne pops the ulti here, goes on to my Zyra, so I just play a little bit of a front to back, didn't want to waste my ulti there, and now we go. So I decided to go on Mbessa here, she was the strongest champ on their team, so I chased her down a little bit. So I did die, but it ended up being a good fight. I tried to chase her out of the fight because she was more useful than me. There's probably something better I could have done, But despite that, the macro around it, you can see my team was trying very hard to just try to greed and try to get that Ocean Dragon, or some games it might be a blue buff or a bot wave, something like that. It's really important that you drop strong pings and move your character here, help get control, and be the difference maker for securing this objective, because even if you do a couple side quests like Dragon or bot, they're going to have full vision, so the fight's not going to be in your favor at all. Moving on to our next example, I wanted to showcase a situation where you actually have to give the Atakhan. Of course, you can't contest it every game, you can't get it in every game, even if you're really strong, like I am in this game. I'm so fit I can carry most team fights by myself, but my Skarner makes a big mistake. He greeds for Herald when Atakhan is up, he gets caught out, and my support dies trying to save him, and now my jungler has to base on 1 HP. So instead of just brute forcing and trying to give everything away for this Atakhan, the way you might do if it was like a Baron or an Elder or a Dragon Soul, where you might try to fight it 3v4 and just try to stick around, because Atakhan, even though it's very valuable, something to keep in mind, it's not as valuable as the big three. Baron, Elder, and Soul are still stronger than Subjective, so it is okay to give it if you absolutely have to. Here, my Skarner was trolling, my support died saving him, so there's just no way we can fight it. I still tried to steal it, of course, with a Shock Blast, and Skarner goes in and dies anyway. But you can see the main point I'm trying to showcase here. You can't fight this every game. I'm ready for the fight. I'm here. I'm in position. If the fight does break out, it's better than me going bottom and playing for bot tier 1 or something like that. I'm ready for the fight in case it is possible. But because Skarner was so late and Rel's already dead, it ended up not being a play. So instead, we just backed out here and gave the Atakhan, and it wasn't the end of the world. We still won this game. It's not going to change the game completely. As long as you still don't get aced and give the objective at the same time, you're going to be perfectly fine, and just keep good tempo for the next play. Now, for our final example, I wanted to break down a situation that a recent student of mine was in, where they didn't play for Atakhan successfully, and to showcase the difference between the examples we've seen before, and why he didn't get Atakhan in this game, even though he's extremely fed on Yone, and he can definitely be the difference maker. So we can see Atakhan spawning in around 90 seconds, but he didn't have that same level of intensity. He's looking for plays mid right now, even though his teammates are top, when what he should be trying to do is just keep bottom pushed in, make Malzahar answer him, eat the Gromp, and then rock up to Atakhan just as it spawns, and be there first helping get control. But he looks for a play around mid, gets caught out, does go down, but that's not the important part. The important part is what comes next. So here, instead of going straight to Atakhan, he doesn't have time to go bottom and create pressure. Where if this was like a Rift Herald or a second Dragon, something like that, an objective that you can actually give, it can be okay to go be greedy on side on champs like Yone, champs like Gwen, champs like Camille, and play for a tier 2 instead. But when objectives like Atakhan or a Feats of Strength objective is available, you can't be giving those really major objectives for small income. So you can see here, he goes straight bottom instead of straight to Atakhan to create pressure. In his mind, he wanted to push in bot and then look for a play on Atakhan or play for the tier 2, but it's just not enough intensity around the objective. You have to be there on spawn. The only time you can go side is when you know you have time to get in and a fight won't break out. Like in the game where I was playing Camille, the chance a fight broke out was low, and if it did, it wouldn't have even been a good fight because we didn't have our ultis. But here he's a 2-item Yone at 18 minutes. His whole team is fed. He can completely carry that fight if he got there early and rushed the objective down himself. But because he was greedy and went bottom, tried to min-max the pressure on the tower, his teammates all died, of course, and gave this really big objective, and they ended up losing this game that he could have been the difference maker in. Now, you probably heard me say a few times in this guide that I want you to get to Atakhan early if you can, and help your team get control. So I want to break that down in a little bit more detail. So essentially getting control is getting to the objective first and helping your team get vision, so deny the enemy wards with Sweeper and Pinks, getting your vision down so that you can see them and punish them when they walk into every bush. Now, because Atakhan doesn't really have access to too many bushes, compared to Dragon, where if you're fighting topside like this, you can fight them when they come into here, some games into this bush, and really make it hard for them, and you'd control Dragon like this if you're fighting topside, so that you have access and see both their flankers, and you can fight them if they're approaching from downriver, or if they try to come through here, you can cheese them from this bush or this one. So this is essentially getting control around Dragon. Now for Atakhan, you have less options for vision. What's important is you get the wave out. So you push the bot wave. The bot wave will be your wards. You can see them on the wave. And then this bush is the most important for bot side. You will have to be careful of flankers if you verse good flanking champs like Akali. So keeping your eye here could be good. A lot of top lane champions are really good at marking flankers. So champs like Camille, champs like Renekton. You can stop the enemy flanker from doing their job. So it's good for you to take a bit more responsibility on that. But pretty much this is going to be your main bush. If you're really if you're really far ahead, I should say, you can take over these bushes and punish them when they come in. But this is a really awkward choke to fight, and it's better to have this so that your backline can play in this open space a lot easier, and you can punish them as they walk in. Now for the top lane Atakhan, it's going to be very simple. Also one more thing, it's good to have a ward, deep ward in the river if you can. So still having this ward would be nice and punch them when they come in. But we're not support, so we can't do everything. You coming here with a pink ward and putting it here would be more than enough, and keeping your eye on where their flankers could come from. Now for the top lane Atakhan, very similar. You want to be fighting from top side if you can. The big reason for that, if you have a ward here, you can see them coming in, but if you're walking from bot side, you can actually be cheesed from over this wall. So you can be, let's just say, rel comboed, or Nautilus Hex Flash Hook, something like that. So it's really awkward to try to fight Atakhan from this angle through river. Sometimes you have to, but if you get here early, it's better to get here as early as you can and help get control. You saw in that game where I was playing Olaf, the support Elise was doing her job well. She kept taking in this bush and cocooning me and chasing me out of it so that she has control up here, and they can fight us from top side of Atakhan to bot side. So pretty similar to what you want to do, as long as you have this warded and you have the wave pushed out. Let's just say this is the wave so you can see them. Then you're going to be in a good position, because they have to walk into the fog of war. You can fight them over the wall, you can fight them from the bush, so you're going to have the advantage if you get here first and help your team get that control. Now, even though in this guide we have gone through quite a few examples in a lot of detail, I still want to break it down even more in depth, just to clear up any type of misinformation before you queue up for your next game. Now, the most important thing I would say from coaching my students in this season that I want you to take on board is creating a game plan. There's so much to do in this season. There's the feats of strength, there's Dragon, Herald, Atakhan Grab, there's so much to do. So it's really important that you create a clear plan. What do you want to do in the game? So the Olaf example is a great one. Some people wanted to do Dragon, I wanted to do Atakhan, but I made my view of what I wanted to happen a reality with strong pings and my gameplay. So if you don't have a game plan, you're more likely to just follow what someone else does. So maybe the Nautilus in your game pings Dragon and you just follow the ping, and we lose Atakhan. So it's really important that you have a clear plan. I want to do this. It's 19 minutes, so start to think about it around 18, 19. So let's say 18 minutes 30, 19, you're leaving the base. I want to play for Atakhan, so I'm going to go to the opposite side of it and create pressure. I'm going to push the wave all the way in, make somebody respond, and then create a numbers advantage fight at that objective. However, if you're basing it's around 20 minutes or 20, 30, you might need to go straight there. So you really need a pre-plan. The best time to make a plan is during your free time. And as a top laner, we don't really get much free time. So the best timing for you is going to be when you're basing or dying, or if you're walking around and there's no one in your lane. So that's going to be pretty rare, but make sure, especially your recall timing, you're using that very well, creating a clear plan. While you're channeling, don't think about a new cool build you found or anything like that. Just really think about the next objective and how you're going to be creating pressure for that, or getting there first and getting control. Now, if you don't have time to do that and you do rock up, hopefully what we went through, how to get control, how to play for the fight, getting these creative flank angles if you're playing a strong bruiser, like an Olaf or a Renekton, Aatrox, trying to get the really good positioning with sweep and with your pinks, can help you increase your chance of getting this fight. Now, the only timing I'd want you to give Atakhan is if you feel like there's just a really low chance we can win the fight. So if your bot lane gets caught out just as it spawns, or like in that example before, your jungler has to base and your support dies, if you feel like due to what's happening with your teammates, the chance you can play for it is very low, then you can give it and go straight to the opposite side and play for a tier 2. I'd advise against it a lot of the time. So if you're ever unsure, do I have time to go bottom, or do I have to go to Atakhan straight away? If you're ever unsure, you should just prioritize the fight, as the objective is very valuable. However, it's not too valuable to the point where you should never give it. Like an objective like Baron or Soul or Elder, when one of these objectives are up, you should pretty much never give it no matter what, unless it's literally impossible to contest. Now, Atakhan's not quite at that level. It's more valuable than a Herald and a Dragon and all those other trash objectives. However, you still need to play for it, as around 20 minutes, everyone's going to be spiked, death time is going to be really long, so it's not just the Atakhan itself, but the fight around it is going to be really impactful at that point in the game, so it's really important that you play for it. Now, another variable that you could keep in mind for you not fighting this objective is if you're less useful than whoever would answer you inside, so mainly the mid or the top laner. So a good example is if you're playing Yorick versus a Malphite. So Yorick probably one of the least impactful champions in a team fight, unless you're really far ahead, and Malphite probably one of the most. So if you can just push in bottom, pull the Malphite all the way there, and block him from team fighting, that might be more useful for your teammates playing for Atakhan than you just grouping up and letting Malphite group up as well. However, if you do that, just make sure you're dropping strong pings on Atakhan still. You're pinging your team on your way bottom, and strong pings onto Atakhan. Let them know your intention. Just like in that Camille game, I ping be careful mid, I'm playing for tier 2. Don't do this, I want to do this instead. Really important that you create a clear game plan, no matter what champion you're playing or no matter how far ahead or behind you are, and communicate that in advance. So even though this objective is very strong, this doesn't mean getting it is going to be the game changer. It's not going to win you the game. Maybe the one that gives you 5 Guardian Angels can, especially if you use them well. However, I'd still found that Baron is going to be your main way to close out the game. You still want to fight Atakhan, it's still very valuable, and winning the fight at that late into the game is extremely important, but you still want to be playing for Baron. And if you have the Atakhan, your extra buffs from dragons and stuff like that is going to help you there. But Baron is going to be your main way to close the game. So again, if those objectives are spawning, if there's a crappy dragon, like a third air dragon, something like that, and Baron is up at a similar time, make your team know, I want to play for Baron, drop strong pings, get there early, get full control. Very similar to Atakhan, it's really important that you create a clear game plan around these two major objectives that are going to be the deciding factor in a lot of games, because to be honest, how often does a team get Soul or Elder? It's very, very rare. But in pretty much every game you play, a team is going to get Atakhan, and most of them, a team's going to get Baron. So you really need to create clear game plans around it. Be very decisive if you're going to be split pushing or if you're going to group up. Be decisively right or decisively wrong. Be very clear, I want to fight this or I want to go side, and review it after instead of just being unsure what to do and following your team's pings. Not only is it better for the game to make your own plan, but it's better for your learning as well. Alright everyone, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you feel about this new season, because personally this is probably my favorite season in a very long time. I feel like there's so much to do, you can be really impactful, as long as you're turning up to these objectives on time and communicating them. It feels like you can be more of a difference maker, and the games are just more fun in general. So let me know how you feel, I'll get back to you, and I'll see you all next time.